and energy of a photon. It could not be done because Einstein has made a massive mistake limiting energy, as we all know, to but now we know mass will stay constant. In a spaceship we travel, the mass cannot be changed because it's like a star, it's like a planet. It will be kept steady. Even if we load another 1 million people on it, it will change very little. We add to the inertia, but not to gravitational field. So to complete part of the energy equation, there is a biggest problem, which is the speed of the travel or the speed of the motion of the gravitational magnetic field. This brings us to stop any mistakes to be made, to redefine the speed of light. But now we call it the speed of plasma. It has to be done that way. So if we start evaluating the whole structure, there is a need for a new understanding. I gave this formula to the scientists. I said, if you're work in a real condition. On a backup piece of paper yesterday after the conference, I said, this is the way you got to go to be able to do it. What does it mean? We have to consider the speed of the plasma at the spectrum of the whole plasma. If you look at it, very simply, this is the C. But we have to see where this strength lies. We have to understand that we are dealing with plasma. So I have rewritten the speed of plasma in this way, and hopefully we see what comes from the other scientists. So from now on, we call it the speed of plasma. We don't consider it as a speed of light, because light can be created at any strength of the plasma in the universe. Now, we have to redefine the next step. If the speed of plasma at the given strength is considered, let's say, like A, so we call it at A, has a factor order with it, which we call it K. It's the order of magnitude of the plasma. So it can be K 1,000 in respect to the speed of light as the K can be 1,000. But compared to the reference point of the speed of light in the matter state for human being. In the future, when we modify this, we understand the order of magnitude will have to have two characteristics, or made of two parts, because you have an interaction. A plasma, a field, cannot travel on its own. It has to have a point. It is greater to or smaller. Either way you want to look at it. A plasma, a field, a magnetic field only travels if it has a companion. This takes the order of magnitude in not 4 dimensions, but 8 dimensions, because each one of these has 4 of itself and 2 of them interact. So we have to consider 8 parameters. Then in that parameter, we have to consider the following: the gravitational and the magnetical. This is how the new equation in respect to the energy of the plasma at any point in the universe has to be considered. We cannot take it to be only on its own. We have to take it in the direction we travel, which we targeted. We create the gravitational and magnetic field to be pulled into or be repelled. So if we rewrite and understand in so many ways, the speed of the travel, the speed of the plasma has to carry all these within it. So we make this as the new standard till we can add to it or correct it. This way, we don't make any assumptions. Einstein, to reach this, all assumptions. So we get the final formula, mass. It will be the total mass balance between gravitational magnetic field, if you read book 1, and then with the speed that mass in respect to the environment is working on. So in so many ways, we have written the first line of formulas, the first line of characteristics of any plasma. In so many ways, what is A here, it has a companion somewhere else, which is B, matching to the problem we had with photons, with this equation, with this understanding, gets solved. Then there is no assumption. There is no assumption that we are talking in what language. Everything is plain. Everything has to be considered in a world of space travel. You make an assumption, and your assumption is wrong, you're doomed. You have to. Scientists like the professor we met, and I know there are a number of scientists around the world working on this, they find this equation, this understanding of the speed, redefines the whole world of physics and energy. It's a simple understanding of mankind, of the speed, of the motion, interacting. Shoot. Leave it to be left on its own to where it goes. You have to understand what this speed of plasma brings to the spaceship program, because it's part of its structure, it's part of its understanding, it's part of its operation. What does this mean? It's very simple. This is what I explained to the professor. In the aircraft of today, the only way we see jetliner is seeing the craft, and we see, what you like to call it, is chemtrail. In the space technology, in the work of the spaceship program, the story is different, totally different. Where in the world of space, the spaceship program, where the sign of existence, a plane has passed, is on its tail. In the space technology, the craft sits on the tail of the light you see. It's totally opposite. You always travel in the depth of the plasma, which is already its interaction with its destination. You travel with the speeds which you set according to the strength of which part of the plasma you choose. So it dictates the speed which you travel. When you see a light ahead, you have to look on the tail where the spaceship is. Where now, when you see a chemtrail, you look at the front, if it's a jumbo jet or is it any other kind of plane. With a new, we set up, and then we understand that this formula is and become applicable and dictates the speed of the travel where you have to consider A and B on both. I've spent many years to complete this. You got to understand, as a scientist who work, we have a beautiful control system where the destination being a planet, being a star, being a galaxy, be it a mass plasma condition which supports life we want to go to, has to have the characteristics which this stays always the same, and the point of destination can be a planet or a star or a rendezvous somewhere in the space. With this understanding of the speed of plasma and understanding why we need it, the scientists now can develop the next stage of understanding of the spaceship program. We have no choice, because partially this will affect the magnetic gravitational field protection zone which you set around your craft too. Is not a one-way traffic, is you have to have a calculation for your protection.